Hey, this is Mike Gaddis. Thanks for joining me. It's always a pleasure bringing you these videos. So this is going to be Grant Cardone Part 2. Are you a Grant Cardone hater? No. I don't hate Grant Cardone. I actually like Grant Cardone. Anybody that gives me knowledge and information for free is my buddy. And Grant Cardone does that. He has, I don't know, thousands of videos that are for free. But let's go through a few points because you have to decide. When you're looking at Grant Cardone, you say, oh, this is a great salesman and a best-selling author and all that stuff, but it's really just him selling himself. I think he had like one job, selling cars. So number one, he really doesn't have that much experience selling anything except himself. And that's the beauty of Grant Cardone. He has created this persona over 30 years using Scientology as a basis. I know something about Scientology. I'm not going to go with Scientology right now. But Scientology gives you a basic formula for doing stuff. And Grant is a master at that. And basically, he's had one job. I think he sold cars. If he's done something else, I'd like to know. And so then what he does is he is taking himself and putting himself out there with his story, how he took drugs and all that stuff, and he overcame that, and he got his job, and he got his life around and stuff. But he's got like 30 years of traveling around all over the world doing seminars and stuff like that in front of probably nobody. Until the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, he hit the social media in a big way, and he's got these best-selling books. So he promotes products that he creates, like how to sell. Number one, no one sells anything anymore. He needs salesmen to talk you into buying stuff to pay him $3,500 or $5,000 or whatever. Why? Because he can't close those sales just by selling product. Tesla just comes out with a great product and people buy the product. They don't even have any salesmen, I don't think. You give them an order. Warren Buffett just makes a lot of money for people, so they just buy into his company because they're buying his ability to produce income. They're buying Tesla because Elon Musk makes a great car at a great price, and he's got all these stations where you can gas up. So they don't need salespeople. You go to them. But Grant needs salespeople to sell what it is that he has. Why? Because it's a sales-centric type of product that he's selling. So all his stuff, whether he's selling books, well, that's another thing on the bestseller list. He's got bestsellers. Bestsellers is an editorial thing on the New York Times. It has nothing to do with numbers. What do you mean? Yeah, go check it out. Getting on the New York Times bestseller list has nothing to do with how many books you sold. There's a great article by Tucker Max, how to get on the New York Times and every other best-selling book list. But Grant promotes the fact that he's a 5-time or 10-time best-selling author. Best-selling authors on the New York Times bestseller list is an editorial decision. What does that mean? It's not based on numbers. They've chosen to take him and to promote him and say he's the guy. No, it's based on actual numbers. No, it's not. That's just a small part of it. And those sales of best-selling books is based on sales in bookstores. How many people actually do? I got 4 books. I made one. What a pain in the ass. You have to get publishers to create the book, and I publish my own book and all that stuff. No, electronic. You want to go to Amazon because Amazon is based on best-selling sales, based on Amazon sales, so ebooks count. But New York Times doesn't look like they count ebooks. So why? Because he's a genius at promoting himself with basically little to no experience in the business world, in the workforce, except his own experiences for promoting his product. I have 40 years of experience of actually running businesses, martial arts schools. Try running a martial arts school. Working for Prudential Insurance, selling insurance for Prudential. How difficult it is to sell life insurance. Wow. I've sold hundreds of millions of cars, owned, operate car dealerships. When he's almost my age, he's a little younger than me. When he was selling cars, I owned the dealership at 21. He sold cars at 21. Actually, I was 22. I had 40 guys working for me. Well, that means that you're better than Grant Cardone. No, he's an expert at selling himself. And that's the purpose of Grant Cardone. The beauty of Grant Cardone is he teaches you how he learned to sell himself. And then he convinces you that you can take his mastery of selling him and you can convert it over to you. And he wants to get you involved in investing in commercial real estate, which of course nobody's investing in commercial real estate. Commercial would be apartment buildings. Why? Because that's what he does. Grant Cardone Capital. So he uses his persona and his knowledge of being known, his status, to get people to invest in Cardone Capital. To what? Get a 10% return? I get 40, 50, 60% returns on my investments in real estate. 100%. Yeah, but you're jealous because you want to be like Grant Cardone? No. That's the whole purpose of this video. You have to decide what it is that you want and use what he's giving you to make whatever that you're doing better. One of the greatest things that I learned from his is no one knows who you are. No one knows who I am. I've done probably 100 times more different things that he's done, bigger and better. Have I got investors? Yes. Do I want to get investors? No. Why? I don't want other people's money, because then I'm responsible for other people's money. I want to invest my own money, and I invest the family's money too. But it's very, very small. You see what I'm saying? So making 50, 60, 70, I bring in over $100,000 a month. That's good. I don't want to jet around in jets. Do you want to jet around in jets? I don't want to. I don't go. I live in paradise. Why not just move to paradise and stay there? Why do you have to go to Cabo San Lucas like my guy next door went to, like Cancun? This is Mike Addis. What's the purpose of the video? I'm going to give you a recap. You just hang around for the recap, and this will give you the whole recap of this thing on Grant Cardone.
Okay, let's do a recap on Grant Cardone. Number one, I'm not a Grant Cardone hater. I do not hate Grant Cardone. I like him actually because he gives a lot of good information. It's free information, number one. Number two, he has very little to no experience doing anything other than selling himself. It looks like he sold cars for a short period of time, and then he worked in a sales training agency. But, you know, I was in the car industry for 10 years, owned and operated car dealerships for years, sold hundreds of millions of dollars wholesale and retail cars. I've got like 10 times more experience in the car industry, and I never worked as a sales trainer, but I trained hundreds of guys. So if you sold cars and then you went to become a sales trainer, it's easy because most salesmen in car dealerships suck. I know that as a fact. That's number two. Number three, getting on the bestseller list has nothing to do with selling books. It's strictly an editorial decision. So guys have sold hundreds of thousands of books, but the New York Times doesn't recognize the sales because it doesn't go through the process that they require, which means you have to have hardcover books and you have to sell it through publishers that they approve. So the concept that he has sold many best-selling books is because he followed the rules that he had to have. They're not really great sales. My sales are probably bigger than his because I never sold them through bookstores. I only e-sell through Amazon. So that's number three. Number four, do you really want to be like him? Do you want to travel around the world and pretend that you're somebody that you're really, really not? I'm not a guy that's going to travel around the world. Are you? And number five, I make 50, 60, 70%, 100% return on my real estate investments. I don't do commercial. I do residential. Why? Because that's what all the big investment companies do. They do all residential. No one's doing commercial. Why is he doing commercial? Because he set the formula up to only do apartment buildings. He doesn't do anything else. He just does apartment buildings. So why does he get all that money? Because people believe that he is this master, which he is of himself. So they're convinced that he's a good guy to invest in. Does he give a real good return on investment? No, his return on investment is less than 15%. That's like a third of what I make on my money. And then there's lease back. So I own my own properties. I lease the property back to myself. I actually rent it to my company and pay me $25,000, $3,000 a month. So my returns are like in excess of 130%.
See you on the next video. Don't forget those comments.